growing up in Arkansas, if you went to college, most kids would go to Arkansas AM&N school or went to Tuskegee. However, I chose my school because my father's sister was married to a professor at Texas Southern University. And actually, he was a dean of the technical school there. And we had visited Houston several times. And so I decided to go to Texas Southern to college. Texas Southern University is a historically black college in Houston, Texas. It began in the 20s as Houston College for Negroes, and there was a Houston College for whites right down the street. There were two schools that were established about the same time. I started Texas Southern when I was 16 in 1960. I remember the first day on campus, that's when you have to go register, and that was my first introduction to the complications of deciding what classes to take. So that was a big deal for me. And secondly, it's my first time really away from home. Moving into a dormitory was an interesting thing. We had 3 roommates at the time, so. My first semester, I didn't do very well. I didn't do well at all. In fact, I almost flunked out of school. And at that time, your grades were sent home. So that was not a good situation to be in, having 2 parents who are teachers, a dean of the School of Technology as your uncle, and you're about to get thrown out of school is not a good situation. So I learned how to study after that, and in fact, the next semester I made all A's in all of my classes. Definitely not Omega Psi Phi. I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, which is one of the 9 African-American fraternity and sororities in the country. My daddy was a Kappa. When I hit the campus, there were some other young men from Arkansas. They grabbed me immediately and got me involved in the fraternity's pledge club, which I participated in. And technically, if you do well, you can work through the pledge club for a year. And then first semester of your second year, you could become a full member of the fraternity. However, because of my poor grades in my freshman year, I did not have the grade point average to make it in my fall semester of my second year, so I had to wait until the spring semester to become a member, which was in 1962. John F. Kennedy came to the campus actually the day before he was shot in Dallas, and I was actually in the science building, which overlooked the student center. The entourage came there, and I got a chance to see him. And then another time during the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King came to the auditorium and actually spoke, and I attended that, which was really fascinating to hear him speak in person.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper.
1963, which would be my junior year, a friend of mine had taken this experiment the previous year, and she mentioned it to me, and her mother was a professor there at the university. And so between her talking to me and I guess her mother talked to my uncle, they both decided that this might be something I would be interested in. So we applied to the Experiment of National Living, and I got accepted, and then I had the process of then try to raise money to pay for the whole thing, which was enabled to do through the help of my parents, my church, and just people voluntarily giving me funds to fund our trip. I would fly from Houston to New York, and I remember this is my first plane flight, and when it took off it was kind of scary, but anyway. And then there was a orientation session in New York at the hotel where all of the students from across the country were introduced to each other. And then we boarded a prop jet to fly to Germany. Then we met again in Frankfurt and had another orientation session. That's where we met our actual guide. And then we would travel by bus to Switzerland, to our various homes. I stayed with the Vockleys in Jens, Switzerland, which is a suburb of Biel, Switzerland, which is a small industrial town in Switzerland. And this family was a family of architects. So they were one of the prominent families in the community. A part of the experimental national living was that you go live with a family in a foreign country, and you become a part of their family. You become a member of their family. And in exchange for them putting up with you for this time period, a family member of theirs would then travel the country doing the touring part. So my Swiss mother, sister, was a young student, and she would travel with us while we traveled. It's a beautiful country. I love it a lot. I learned about the history of Europe, if you will. This was really something new to me, to see the old buildings, the old cathedrals, and things like that. The people, the way people act, the way people talk, and the fact that I was the only African American in my group. I'm the only African American in this little small community. So it was my first time being away from a group of being around a majority of African Americans as opposed to being the only one that's there. But that was part of the learning, part of the education, and something that I'm thankful that I went through at the time. I graduated in August of 1964. I graduated in August because for some reason I decided I didn't need to take physical education, but it was required for me to get a degree. So I had to stay for summer school to take phys ed, to the chagrin of my parents. They were about to choke me, but anyway, I was too close to graduation to worry about it at that point.